Benegal. Shyam Benegal has passed away. He was 90. He passed away in Mumbai today. This is the legendary director. Shyam Benegal is known for breathing life into parallel cinema. This happened in the 70s and the decades to follow. Today, he's breathed his last at Mumbai's Wockhardt Hospital. Shyam Benegal directed some iconic films. Films like Ankur and Manthan, Nishans, Mandi, also the teleseries Bharate Khoj. His filmography is a critical commentary on society, all the issues that society in India faces, and this he tracked over the years in his films. His work also serves as an inspiration to aspiring filmmakers, and a lot of students of cinema have a lot to learn for the legacy that Shyam Benegal has left behind. To discuss this, journalist and film critic Ramachandran is joining us. Ramachandran, it is a sad day. We've lost someone who's been a master of parallel cinema. He's made all these socially relevant films, and those themes, the kind of storytelling like in Manthan, for example, those remain etched in memory. What are your strongest memories and films of Shyam Benegal?
Okay, Shyam Babu, as we all called him, was not just a filmmaker. He was very socially aware. So, when you talk about his cinema, right from Ankur, which you mentioned right now, he also made, in 74, when he debuted, he also made another film called Charandas Chor, which was for the Children's Film Society. It gave us Mita Patil to the Indian film industry. Ankur, he had made Ankur at a time when, he was working in an ad agency, and he went to a ad film distributor and told him, I want to make a film. That said, I'll only give you this much money if you can make it here, and I won't pay you a penny more. And he made a film which won the national award. I mean, he won 16 national awards during his entire career, which also included 2 documentaries, one on Jawaharlal Nehru and the other on Satyajit Ray. So, he was a complete filmmaker in that sense, because he knew the social and cultural pulse of the country. Not to forget the fact that obviously his films have also traveled internationally. But he's again somebody who has given a Bharate Khoj to us. A film, TV series like that. He made a 10-part series called Samvidhan a few years ago, which actually spoke about the Constitution. You don't have anybody explaining the Constitution in such a simple language to us. That is Shyam Benegal to you. Very soft-spoken, man full of dignity, who was actually passionate to enter the film industry because he happened to be Gurudat Padukone's cousin.
Ramachandran, while we are talking about Shyam Benegal, and we are seeing some of the film posters of the films that he made, one of the films I remember is Mandi. It remains one of his most controversial films. Do you remember the controversy and how he's kind of managed that?
See, Mandi was also made at a time when, the country was changing. Okay. When there are a lot of people, I still remember that Shabana Azmi once mentioned that Shyam Benegal told her that her career was over after she acted in Mandi, because they said that they'll only give you mother roles now. So, having said that, it's funny. But, Mandi came in 1983, if you remember the year. And that's the time when, the country was changing. We had unemployment also coming up in a very strong way. Women were just trying to get more jobs in the country, because the men were also trying to get jobs unsuccessfully, and women also trying to get jobs. And that was a time when, the subject itself was such a thought process, on how, Mandi forms wherever there are humans, wherever there is human population,
yes,
sex will tell.
So when you talk about the social relevance of Shyam Benegal's films, how it kind of connected with the politics of that time, with society at that time, do you see filmmakers today learning a thing or two from how Shyam Benegal had done what he did through his filmography?
Very honestly, filmmakers earlier were much braver than the filmmakers today. And that is the reason why a parallel cinema movement came across and thrived. I mean, even barring Shyam Benegal, there were so many other filmmakers who thrived during that time. I mean, you had angry films coming up. I mean, 1973, if you remember Ankur, the time that it came, unemployment was at its peak. Uh, People were, and you talked about a guy coming back to his native town at that time in that subject. That unknown actor actually went on to win the national award in that film as well. And that showed the way, I mean, you had Manthan coming again, post the emergency. I mean, it had nothing to do with the emergency, but it spoke about a subject of women's cooperatives, how, it had, how that entire uh, what you would call as the resurgence of women in nation building came across. Uh, I mean, those are kind of films that you'll always look up to. You'll always see him as an author, as a filmmaker who actually gave much more than his films. He gave a bit of himself in every film.
So why do you think, Ramachandran, that he was able to use these themes to tell stories of the current situation in India? Even if he focused on rural communities, on marginalized communities, those films were immensely watchable. And a lot of the times, the arguments being made in today's context is this is not what the audience wants to see. Has the audience changed, or the way of storytelling that filmmakers like Shyam Benegal have employed, has that changed?
There was something called art cinema or parallel cinema back in the day. Now, very honestly, you have only one word, and it's called good cinema and bad cinema. You have to now distinguish very clearly between good cinema and bad cinema, because good cinema is what people are watching, which could even be OTT shows. It's not just it is not just entertainment value. Entertainment now has come, thankfully, because of the OTT platforms. You have all those old Shyam Benegal films also being watched right now, and people are still liking them. I mean, I think a lot of people during lockdown ended up watching so much of parallel cinema that they understood what good content is all about.
This also had to do with some of Benegal's background, his education. How did that influence the themes that he chose to explore in his films?
Actually, he was 23 when he left his job and from Hyderabad and came to Mumbai. And when he met Gurudat, his cousin, Gurudat told him, if you work with me, I'll only give you errands to run as an assistant. So you won't do anything good. Why don't you do something with your writing, because you're a good writer? So Shambabu actually went to an ad agency and started working there. And as I told you before, he was lucky that he got an ad film distributor to kind of back him. And the world gave us Shyam Benegal. I mean, Shyam Babu is actually the only person, was the only person alive till a few hours ago who had seen Alamara. He was the only filmmaker to have seen Alamara because the print is lost digitally.
Yes.
So, I mean, I've heard so many stories about Alamara from him, and I'm sad that nobody's going to tell those stories anymore.
Yes. But, to capture that sense of realism in film after film, obviously there requires a different production approach. Do you know of that style of Shyam Benegal as well as a filmmaker? To capture realism today is a very different story from how it must have been through his film journey.
Yeah, of course. I mean, today you have Google to help you with a lot of information. Some may be wrong. But in those days, people had to do their research so well. They had to be read. They had to be educated. Not just literate. They had to educate themselves in every aspect of what the country was going through. So, which is why you had those filmmakers, including Shyam Babu, who was completely rooted. I mean, you could sit and argue with them on any subject in the world, and they'll always put one up on you because they knew more than what you did.
That impact of Shyam Benegal and his filmography today, what do you think is going to be that lasting legacy that we'll always remember Shyam Benegal for when it comes to Indian cinema?
See, Shyam Babu was, if you actually look at it, he bridged the gap between history and contemporary thought. He made complex narratives accessible and relevant to millions of people. His understanding of history was very profound. Culture and the human conditions made him a guiding light for many filmmakers and storytellers. And a lot of people who seen Shyam Babu's films have actually been inspired to be filmmakers. You talk about, trust me, last week, I was sitting in a panel discussion with Madhur Bhandarkar and we were talking about Shyam Benegal.
So this is what I'm saying. As far as filmmakers today are concerned, for the many platforms that they have to showcase what they produce, compared to what Shyam Benegal had in his time, when you talk about what they're going to take away from him, what they're going to imbibe from the kind of films that he's seen, and since you've interacted with so many filmmakers, what are those elements that you've picked up that you always see in some of the films that people like Madhur Bhandarkar not only speak about, but also reflect in the films they make?
I mean, you had Madhur picking up nuances of Mandi in Chandni Bar. Because, after all, there are very small, people are always left with memories. You remember V. Shantaram? He made Do Aankhein Bara Haath. You had Ashutosh Gowarikar pick up this subject and make a Lagan. All these filmmakers, including Shyam Babu, have been people who have quietly influenced so many filmmakers. You talk about a subject like Suraj Ka Satwaं Ghoda, that was considered art in those days. Now it is mainstream OTT. People are delving on subjects of lesbianism and LGBTQ in so many subjects. But these are all filmmakers who have left a legacy for us with every film. You remember Junoon, which was made. It won the National Film Award for Best Feature Film in Hindi. You had films like Kalyug. You had films like Arohan. Then you can't forget films like Trikal, Susman, Antarnaad, and the trilogy of Mammo, Sazari Begum, and Zubeda as well.
Yes.
These are all films which have. You talk about women-centric subjects. The trilogy of Mammo, Sazari Begum, and Zubeda can easily stand out and inspire so many people.
So, in fact, when you talk about actors who worked with Shyam Benegal, we didn't get a chance to speak to Naseeruddin Shah on the show. He couldn't join us right now. But he says, and I'm quoting what he said to us, "It is impossible to describe in a few words what Shyam meant to me. I wonder what I would have become if he hadn't had faith in me when no one else did. He and Neera were a huge support in my difficult days. He did whatever he could with his life right to the end. Not many people can claim to have done that." That's what Naseeruddin Shah is telling us. There are several actors who are known and associated with Shyam Benegal films. Shabana Azmi being one, Om Puri another, Naseeruddin Shah being another. What do you think they have been able to glean from the kind of cinema that Shyam Benegal will always be remembered for?
Of course, when you look at these actors, they actually stood out. They actually rose in their career because of the kind of films they worked in with him. Their kind of cinema, the kind of cinema that they actually worked in with Shyam Babu was what made them into parallel cinema stars, if you want to call it that way.
So it is a lasting legacy, and there is no doubt about that. You've been a journalist for many years. Do tell us, which are the films that will remain with you forever and ever when you talk about Shyam Benegal? What has left a deep impact on you and why?
Okay, very difficult to pick that.
I know.
Ankur remains my one of my best films because I think I cried a lot after watching Ankur. Okay. When you watch a film and it makes you cry, it is something that you're taking home with you. And Mandi was again such a bold film. I actually loved Charandas Store also. For that matter, Manthan was again such a motivational film, if you want to call it that way. It actually. I'm sure there's so many people who have watched Manthan. So many women who must definitely wanted to be there and kind of be the change. Not witness the change, but be the change. that's what he taught. He talked about. I mean, that's all. I mean, I'm still, he's made films like Welcome to Sajjanpur, all that recently. But no, I'm not really a great fan of his recent film work, but I really loved his last work, Samvidhan, apart from Bharat Ek Coach,
Yes.
on television. Yeah.
Yes. No, I mean, this journey of Shyam Benegal it remains etched in India's film history. There is no doubt of that. But today, to be able to talk about the kind of cinema that he's known for, parallel cinema is what we've known him to be associated with for the longest time. There are actors like Nasiruddin Shah who are telling us about how he's given them a chance to shine and be known for that kind of cinema as well. So he leaves behind a lasting legacy. It's a great pleasure to have you talking about Shyam Benegal, and of course we will pay our homage to the great filmmaker that he's been. Shyam Benegal no longer with us. He passes away at the age of 90.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.